This. I have now the legend, one of our most enthusiastic user, and one of the most growing company in the USA, Glenn. You'll do a little bit of introduction of yourself, and then we'll continue.
Sure. Hey, thanks, Gilsi. Yeah, so my name is Glenn Sanford. I'm the founder of a company called eXp Realty, CEO of a company eXp World Holdings, which is the parent company, and now Chief Strategy Officer with a company called VirBELA, a company we acquired back in 2018. You know, I've been, you know, it's interesting, we're kind of in the middle of this pandemic right now worldwide. And back in 2009, I founded a company that runs entirely remote, meaning that we have no physical offices, and we've expanded from, at that time, we had about 24 people. And now with staff, we're over 30,000 people operating in 4 countries with staff that actually probably is in 9 or 10 countries, because we've got people in different parts of the world helping on different parts of the enterprise. But we've done that entirely remote, and yeah, so that's what I've been up to. I mean, and of course, one of my, I am, as Gilsi mentioned, one of the most enthusiastic users of CrankWheel, because it's literally for us was it solved a huge challenge for us. But anyway, I'll just leave it there, and we'll keep on going.
I think it's a big day for us to celebrate, because it's 924 days since you logged into our platform for the first time.
It is, yeah. I remember, you know, we have a platform, VirBELA, which at the time we didn't own VirBELA back when I started to use CrankWheel, and one of the challenges was their platform didn't really have a good screen sharing tool that was built in. And VirBELA, just for your audience to note, it's a virtual world for work platform. So it's literally, we log into training centers and boardrooms and offices as avatars, and we literally walk around campus. It's like a video game with, instead of guns, we have laser pointers. And so we'll have office meetings. We've got a lot of web share boards all over campus. And so it had a screen share tool that was built into the platform, and it didn't work really well. And so I went looking, and I probably spent 2 weeks almost daily looking at every single different web share, screen share type of technology that was out there. And I ran into CrankWheel on the Chrome Web Store, and I downloaded it, checked it out, and it worked flawlessly. It was like a dream come true. It was like Nirvana for screen share, for exactly what we were trying to do. And then I just started using it and showing it to everybody. And since then, you know, we were an enterprise customer of CrankWheel, but we've got, you know, customers upon customers that use CrankWheel as their preferred screen sharing tool, especially in world. But even now, I'm using it when I need to do a quick screen share. I'll just throw up a CrankWheel, send somebody a link, and I'm good to go.
I remember when I was looking at when we were corresponding in the beginning, when you were testing us. I really liked when I was negotiating the prices with you. It's like you were pretty hard. So I really remember that. I also remember the signature of yours. So I have to say the signature in it was like chief thinker and chairman of the board, daily positive change advocate of eXp. I really, it's like you have to have your chest out when you are, you know, putting a signature like that out. And also when I was looking at the correspondent, I was preparing for this, it's like you said, like you said before, you were looking and looking and looking for something that would work all the time. And when we started CrankWheel 5 years ago, it was our only goal, start with is to make it work all the time, not to promise too many things, just to be able to, you know, my background is I used to sell real estate and and pensions and insurance, and we never had this opportunity to go from go from a cold call to a presentation. And if you're able to do something immediately, you're always more likely to close the sales. So this is one of the reasons why we wanted to work, to work it all the time. And you are the most, one of the most customers I remember the most when, you were pushing us and we delivered everything. So I'm almost emotional now when we talk about this. No. No,
well, it's almost 5 o'clock there, right?
Yeah, sorry. And we are located in Iceland, and that is something to do when we're going to talk about those, Glenn. It's like you have VirBELA. When I started talking with you, you were always just in eXp Realty,
right?
And it's like, and the reason why I called you, I wanted to get you on this podcast, last webinar or something, is like changes that you made. When you became what do you call it, the CSO of VirBELA. Is that related to COVID, or was it something that you were planning? Or because when I was reading a little bit about you before we went to, you've done a lot of things over the last years.
Yeah. So
2000.
Yeah. So one of the things I've been really passionate about, literally since probably, well, even before the mid '90s, but in the mid '90s, I founded an online service called Interactive Cafe, and we were an online service, and so we were akin to America Online. So very similar icons and the way the service worked. It was a GUI-based online service. This is pre-web, and so I really liked building online communities. So for me, that's always been sort of a passion of mine. And in 2009, we ended up using a platform at that time called Teleplace. And we were too small, but I always said I wanted to own a virtual world for business platform, because I thought that I could, help the company grow, just because I was 100% all in on virtual worlds for business.
In 2009?
In 2009.
Okay.
So that platform unfortunately went out of business. We weren't big enough to even think about acquiring them at that point, because we were maybe at 100, 200 agents at that point. We kind of fast forward to the next platform, and we probably grew to another 400 agents. And then we went to a third platform, and it was actually built on Flash, and it was working all the way through to about the end of 2015. And then Chrome decided not to support Flash plugins anymore. And so our platform, it went away. And so we made a pivot to using VirBELA, and we became quickly their largest single customer. We represent, actually in 2018, over 50% of their income. But it was still a space that I really, really liked. So by 2018, mid 2018, we were obviously spending a fair bit on SaaS expenses. So we were paying for the licenses for VirBELA. But what we were missing out was having them really develop the platform that we wanted as a SaaS customer. So we said, hey, why don't we put our hands around you? Let's join forces. And what we want to do is we want to invest heavily into VirBELA to make it work for us as a real estate brokerage. And so that was kind of the path. And that was working actually pretty well. 2019, VirBELA was doing a great job. A few customers were coming toward VirBELA, but not many. We were happy that we were doing the things that we needed to do for eXp. And then I was actually traveling internationally from February of this year. We'd actually went to Australia and New Zealand, and then the pandemic was starting to take hold. And by the time we got back on March 14th, March 16th, we knew that VirBELA had a lot of people coming to them, but they hadn't figured out how to scale rapidly internally. So on March 16th, I just jumped on the team and just said, okay, let me jump in. And we brought over like 20 or so people from the eXp Realty side, added them to the team. And then we saw all the customers coming our way. So we just said, let's invest. So it wasn't something I was planning on doing. I was planned on helping out where I could, but until the pandemic, there wasn't enough going on for me to want to jump in like full time. And now I'm like full time with the team. We've tripled the size of our staff. We're now 60 to 70 people on the staff versus around 20 back in February. And
I came to visit you, the team, when I was in San Diego.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
you went to the office?
Yes, I was one of
okay.
and I met humans. And
okay.
But it was like I say, but I have to ask you, is it, because I like your sales oriented and you go from a little bit of startup background, isn't it almost like, the VirBELA platform, the timing now, you must get a lot of buzz out of growth, because the opportunity is like I haven't seen anybody that has made a lot of success with the avatar world, but like
right,
you have a proven success, and you must be buzzing inside to say, hey, this is the timing is like, the timing is just
yeah, we couldn't have planned the timing. I mean, the timing, we'd already invested in the platform heavily, so we already had a commercially ready platform ready to go because we were using it ourselves.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden the world turned, and everybody's trying to figure out how to work remote. And then, even though obviously we're having this conversation on Zoom, which is fine for if you're going to record it and broadcast, but Zoom is really challenging for actual real meetings. Like you can't, in my opinion, it's like one of the worst mediums to actually try to actually do real work on, because you have to, I have to pay attention to this camera up above your head, even though you're down here. And then if I start working on something over here, I look like I'm distracted.
And you have to watch out that the logo is behind you and everything.
Exactly. Well, I do have over here my.
I know it.
Yeah,
minds think alike.
Yeah, there you go. You got to always be selling, right?
Always be selling.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's been a lot of fun. But you guys, one thing's, what was it? I did have a couple of questions. Why did you guys create another screen sharing tool? I mean, there were obviously a number of them out there 5 years ago. Yep. What was it that ultimately kind of pointed you that direction?
Okay, the reason is about 5 years ago, I met a friend of mine that we used to go together to kindergarten, not to kindergarten, we were in schools together when we were like 10, 11, 12 or something. And then I met him about 5 years ago. He used to work for Google for 10 years and like we spent a lot of time together and stuff like that. And he was he had moved back to Iceland after he has a huge what do you call it, startup background. So when he quit the Google, he wanted to do something himself, and he met me. And my background is I used to sell insurance over the phone. My background was like I was on the phone, book a meeting, and then I drove for 5 hours just to show my computer screen. And in my industry, still today, this is still the business. It's either drive 500 for 5 hours just to show the computer screen, or do it automatically. There's almost nothing in between. So we wanted to make something to go directly from the phone call to a presentation and finish the sale just in that phone. And that's one of the most important things with our business is we wanted to make it work all the time, because salespeople are like that, and also the prospect is like, it's so valuable that only meeting, it has to work. If you're going to ask somebody to download something and do this, something complicated, you're afraid of losing the sale. So this is one of the reasons still today people drive for 5 hours just to show the computer screen. And it's a funny thing that we created 5 years ago. We have about 50,000 users worldwide. It took us almost about 3.5 years to finish the first broker in insurance to use our product. A lot
Okay.
of banks and stuff like that. So because people are still lost in their, you know it yourself, in the old business. So this is the reason why we created CrankWheel. We want to make the screen sharing solution that works all the time, focused for sales people, simple-minded people like myself.
Mm-hmm.
The best people in the world.
Yeah, and it works. So, and it is a really an easy tool to use. I mean, it's not, I mean, it's just a Chrome browser extension. You sort of authenticate once and you can use it for like, you can get started with it for free, which is pretty cool too.
Yeah. And also we're moving also to, I think next week or the week after that, to Microsoft is starting a web store similar to Chrome Web Store. I think that's going to be a huge opportunity because I think there's about 280,000 people at 280,000 companies at Chrome Store, and today it's only about 280 in the Microsoft Store. So it's just launched, and in this COVID, I think I'm not sure why, but the increase there is not very much. So I think there's a huge opportunity working on, you know, with Microsoft and and stuff like that. So I think the timing matters in life, and also I think that will be a huge opportunity for us.
So what's it like running a business from Iceland?
It has its benefits and its downfalls of it, but it's good for us because we're in between our markets. You know, 50% of our revenue and usage is in North America, and 50% is in Europe.
Okay.
And few percent is in Australia and Asia or something, but more or less we're in between those markets. We're only 5 hours away from New York and 2 hours away from London. Mm-hmm. But still, we are selling a screen sharing solution, so we're not traveling all over. But still, of course, you know it yourself, even with avatar and screen sharing and phone calls, it's often sometimes good to make those.
Right. Oh, for sure. Well, I
think to go to the bar and close the sale.
Well, I think there's a natural affinity between what we're doing and what you guys do, for sure. Because one of the things that we think about VirBELA as being as it's a place you go to. So it's some place that you sort of, you would maybe go visit your customers in Europe. You obviously visited VirBELA down in San Diego, and so you'll do a little travel here and there. But for us, like I wanted to build a company where I didn't have to travel, even though because the company's successful, I do travel quite a bit. But the whole idea was actually to build someplace that you go to that's not a real place, but it's always available. So similar, CrankWheel, you want it to always just to work. We wanted a place that we could always count on being able to go to work. And so it's
a brilliant. Like I say, I'm really enthusiastic for you on your behalf because of VirBELA, because it's all that GoToMeeting, Join Me, and all of them. They're doing the same thing, but you do something with a proven record behind you. So I think it's different, and I absolutely love it. Because
and I think you've got a team suite in the VirBELA Open Campus, and so when you go in, I mean, there's 50, 100, and when I just left campus to come up and jump on the Zoom meeting here, there was over 200 people in world there. Yep. If I would have went to eXp World, which I could do launching a separate client, there would have been over 1,000 people that were somewhere on campus, and I could go to any number of different places and have conversations with people. Yep. And depending on what I was looking for, I might be looking for sales training. I might be looking for tools or technology support. I might be looking for stuff on payroll or accounting. I've got places I can go, just like you would do in a real office setting or on a real campus. You can actually go to all of those different places. And what's kind of interesting is that when you get there, almost all the time, somebody needs to share a screen. Yeah. And what do we use to share a screen in world?
Boom.
CrankWheel.
Yeah, it's been fun looking at how your usage has been growing, and you're one of a few customers that actually use it for a lot of people. You know, it's up to 3 or 4 or 5, 6, 800 people at the same time that actually uses it. I remember when I went to VirBELA for the first time, I didn't know what to do. I was just an avatar there, you know, of course, chose my clothes and everything. And I was just walking there, and I stumbled into a presentation or a meeting there that was absolutely brilliant. So I think this as an alternative, and also as a, like I say, with that proven success with eXp, is like, if people have if people really want to scale, I would just duplicate, you know, in there, because like I say, you have all these X factors, like you can meet people, chatting with them. You don't do that on, you know, GoToMeeting, Skype or whatever. I think that's
right.
And also it's brilliant to be like, if you're going to meet associates from all over the world, that's a brilliant. I do even, you know, it's like I say, it's a brilliant X factor with a proven record.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, thanks for that. No, I think you know, I know you've got probably a bunch of customers as well that you know, could benefit from at least checking it out. And I know I've mentioned to you that we have an affiliate program, and obviously we're going, hey, VirBELA is a natural extension, I think, of a lot of your customers. So, you know, it'd be really cool to be able to, you know, host some of your customers in world, show them a little bit about the VirBELA platform. But if they're challenged with not being able to go to physically to an office, maybe we can do something where maybe we can co-host a meeting or invite some folks in.
I've always been, you know, like I said, I think that the VirBELA, because after the COVID started, everybody all of a sudden trying to be working remotely, and it's a totally new thing to do webinars, but it's like Skype is like 20 years old or something. But it's the time for you guys to actually be, it's like, I would love some of the webinars that I'm going to be at, you know, at VirBELA, because it's like, it's a little bit of, if you are bored at that, you could at least, you know, you could have like a different session that you could go to, or go to the bar or whatever. That's what I like about it. Instead of turning off the camera, don't do anything. It's like all these options, you know, in campus and everything. That's like,
yeah, we just did a cool deal 2 weeks ago. We had we were planning a real world event in Orlando at Disney World, actually, where we were going to be in late April to our shareholder meeting. We're going to have 2,000 people attend, but we moved it to the virtual campus, and we did our shareholder event. We had 9,500 people attend versus 2,000. So our attendance went up, our social engagement went up. We also introduced an entire expo hall, you know, complete with, you know, vendors that could, you know, basically show their wares, and people could walk through the expo hall and meet with different vendors. So we got all the trappings of a real conference or real event. It's pretty. Anyway, I know I'm sort of tooting my own horn, but
hey,
it's pretty cool.
Well, that was one of the questions I wanted to ask you, because it's like because everybody's a little bit lost about, will there be conference in the future and blah blah blah, all of that. You're going yes and no and stuff like that. And I think that your platform would be also brilliant for that, with a mixture of everything else. Of course, one won't replace. People are saying, oh, this will quit and this will continue, but it will be a mixture of everything. And I would love to get invited to a conference that was using your platform, because it's like you know, if you buy yourself into a big C-level seminar or something, you don't know if people are listening or not. At least with this, you could say, hey, let's have a one-on-one talk, you know, in the world. So I think that I would love to, some of the, you know, people who are doing these conferences today would have this as an alternative instead of 5 people at Zoom or something. But like I say, the timing and to do something fun with this, and it's like, sorry, it's like I'm writing you a love letter or something, but it's still like I want to have some alternatives today, because you know, instead of just, you know, we had a scheduled meeting with a company that was interested in buying a product. And this is one of the sad things about, you know, conference calls or something. And they started with 6 ones with the camera on, and about after like 5 or 10 minutes or something, like only 2 had the camera on. So you know that they're not interested in your buying. So it's everything is unpersonal there, and they didn't buy from us. But this is, it's just it's like Skype 20 years ago. You know, you know, I want something in between the world of GoToMeeting, Join Me, and the conferences. I think maybe I'm just talking. Is that?
Yeah, I think that very, very much fits the bill, because, you know, the thing I always say is that a real office or a real conference has real value. I mean, we're social beings. We like to be around people. And so, you know, right now we can't be around people the way we used to be able to be. We can't, you know, one of my social outlets, because I've been working home office for years, is when I would travel a bit for business. I go to restaurants, I go and do different things where I get together socially. And now, you know, my social outlet is the virtual world, and, you know, some meetings like this. And, you know, fortunately I was able to get out on the boat this weekend, so that was nice to get out, but still can't be around people. And you know, one of the things I was reading here just recently is 70% of people that are being told they can go back to work don't want to go back to work. They don't want to go back to where people are because they're nervous about the, you know, the health and well-being of what's going on, just with what's going on. So you've got this, you know, how do you create something in the middle that can, if you don't want to go to work because you don't feel safe for whatever reason, where can you go to work? And so we create kind of that in-between layer, because you do walk around, you do have random conversations with people, you do socially share, and then when things are safe, when you do feel confident going out, you can go back to a real world setting, but you've got this sort of in-between safe space. And so it really is an interesting way to sort of think about it. It's not GoToMeetings and Skypes from, you know, 2009, we looked at Skype and we're like going, who in their right mind would call this a good place to go to work? And so we fundamentally chose not to go that direction. And the other thing in our platform, you know, today, because, you know, we were doing this call, you know, I went and took a shower and shaved and got ready. But if you don't have to share your camera, I think a lot of people don't want to, they don't have maybe the good backdrop. They don't maybe present as well over a camera or what have you. But if you can give them a way to have their own online persona in an avatar form, it's also safe. It's like this way to sort of,
it's a brilliant option.
Yeah, it levels the playing field too, because, you know, a lot of employees, you know, to some extent feel like they can add a lot to an organization, but they're worried about how they're going to be perceived on camera.
Yeah, they're afraid and stuff like that. And I think I think that mixture of all of this will be the working place of the future. And I think it's a big issue here in Iceland. It's a big issue, I think, also in Europe too, is to reduce the time that you spend at work. And people are always afraid of, you know, letting your employee have, you know, do a little bit of less work and stuff like that, because, like, even though they're doing the work, because you don't want to let them go. And I can tell you from this, because we sell the software mostly to salespeople, and I can tell you, on Friday afternoon, there is no reason to have a sales force working, because afternoon is like, but still, even though salespeople know, and I give them the numbers, it's not like they don't want to let them go, because it's just like, you know, you have to have people physically at the work. And I think after this shitstorm is over, I think people will realize like, hey, you can't do the job, like you don't come in on Fridays, we can have working meetings in VirBELA or whatever. I think good bosses will absolutely know how to like get the best out of people using technology, even though it's, you know, telephone screen sharing, working from home, VirBELA, you know, whatever. I think, you know, project management, you know, good people in that will get hugely rich, and also just to get the best out of people. If people are feel badly about going to work, you know, have to, you know, shit, shower and shave in 5 minutes, to meet, you know, in a holiday in Spain and do still the meeting in VirBELA. So I think I think you have to do a mixture of everything. It's not going to be one.
Right. It's not going to be 100%.
No.
Well, we need variety anyway.
Yeah.
We have to change things up. If we keep on doing things the same way all the time, then our minds don't like that. Our minds like to be challenged with new ideas, new opportunities, new things.
How important was it to team up with VirBELA when you were scaling? You know, eXp.
Well, so for us, the big one, there were two things. One, we wanted a virtual world for business to begin with, not from an ownership standpoint, but we needed a place to go to work. So we needed someplace we called a place.
And this goes back to 2009 when you said you don't want to go to Skype. This is like, because you're probably the only person I have ever talked to that's like, where does this mindset come from? You know, go to Avatar world. Where does that?
Yeah, so the mindset came from in 2009, the real estate market in the United States especially had collapsed.
Yeah.
And it collapsed, you know, 2007, 8, 9, it had fundamentally collapsed. It was hard to get a mortgage. There weren't a lot of sales. Unemployment was really high. And what I found as a business owner is that physical offices they're expensive, especially if you don't have no revenue coming in. So the first thing was, okay, how do we grow a real estate brokerage without any physical offices? Because I was dead set on figuring out how to do that. And then then if we do go without physical offices, how do we create a sense of community? And so for us it was, okay, if we're going to create a sense of community, we need some place we can go that we can be active and social and engaged in. And that's where the virtual world for work came from. For us was, we said, hey, that's a place that we could actually go to work and we could actually be socially engaged. And I could walk into your office, you could walk into my office, we could run into other people around campus. And it was kind of cool and interesting as well. So that was the big thing. And the other piece was, we couldn't afford offices, but technology, and let's see, where's my phone? Technology had got to the point in 2009 where you had high-speed internet pretty much everywhere. So you had it on your phone, you had cable internet in your home, you had the ability to be connected to things that could provide more data than happened back in 2002. We were on dial-up connections. I don't know what you were doing there, but you know, I was on dial-up connection, 56K baud modem, and exactly. You know the tune. But in 2008, 2009, everybody had cable internet. So we're like, why don't we just all work home office? Let's figure out how to build community. Some of the technology is still early stage, but we know it's going to mature. And if that's where things are going to go in the future, why don't we just do it today? So that was really sort of the mentality in 2009 was, you know, why wait for technology to fully arrive? Let's just assume that it's going to arrive if we just commit to going in that direction.
So I have to tell you now, we've been on this for 40 minutes, I think. Is this a reason why you have Iceland behind you on the wall? Where is this? Did you put this up just for this phone call, or?
You know what? We've been to Iceland a couple times now.
Yeah, I knew that. I've been watching, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, there's the picture. did you put this on purpose to, you know,
we did.
Don't make me, it's like, I get, it's for the second time in this phone call, I get emotional, so.
No, that was, we actually really enjoyed Iceland. Iceland's pretty fun place.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went and
so this just
the ice fields.
So this did go on the wall, you know, 3 minutes before our phone call.
Nope. It's I forgot it was even there. So thanks for noticing.
You work in sales, but I'm not sure. But I'm going to take your word for it. So, but how was your, because all of your staff, and you, like say, you're working now with 29,000 users. How, you know, you said there were 1,000 people at, you know, campuses. Was it are you seeing growth in people just interacting there, and they're coming with stories with you that you wouldn't even thought about? Is it scaling in all directions?
Yeah, that was the other reason why VirBELA made so much sense. Some of the previous platforms wasn't built to scale to the level that we've scaled. So we knew that we needed a platform that we could that had a path that could potentially take us to 1,000 plus people in one room. So we've now done that. We've now had rooms now that have had almost 1,100 people in one room. And across the entire campus, we've had, you know, 6,000 or 7,000 people at a time. And the platform, because of the platform it's built on, it literally is the same fundamental gaming engine that supports things like Pokemon Go and a bunch of other, you know, fully immersive first-person shooter games that might have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of users using that same gaming engine at the same time. So we're built in a way that, you know, should be able to take us to, you know, 100,000, 200,000, 500,000 users over time. And so that was another key reason why we went with the direction we went.
Okay, that's it's a really cool factor. Sorry, I'm still going away by the picture, so I'm a little bit lost now at the moment because of the picture behind me.
I'll help you.
No, oh shit! Do I have to keep focus now? But that's so regarding to scaling VirBELA. So this is out of the box. Is it like, are you focused on, you know, America and all over the world? Because it's like, you know that you have always the best idea in the world and you want everybody to buy it. But of course you have to a little bit of focus, and you know how to scale. Is it more of a freemium model that you're doing, or is it focused on enterprises and selling the big idea with your success?
Yeah, so a little bit of both. You know, we've got the open campus anybody can use for free, which is pretty cool. So people can come in there, have classes, have meetings. And then team suites, you can get team suites for as little as $100 a month. And that'll, you know, support, you know, up to 10 concurrent users of your own team suite. And you can go all the way up to you know, 100 plus users on that. And then if you want to go to a private campus, that starts at 150 users and goes on up from there. But
sorry, what's a team suite for people who like are not
so it's a small number. It's a small number of private offices in your own suite. So it's a suite of offices with some breakout spaces for group meetings. And then if you go with a bigger team suite, you can have a couple big boardrooms that will support, you know, 50, 100 people for big meetings. So you've got a number of different sort of breakout spaces inside of one larger space. And you can check it out. You can go to VirBELA.com. You can look at the products, check out team suites, and you can go in and go into the platform and sort of check out what a team suite is. But it's a place for you and your team to work and to have private offices and to invite people in to actually have meetings with you. So we've had a number of customers that have got a team suite, and because of what's going on with COVID, they've brought in a bunch of people that they normally would work with, but they'd normally drive to, and they've given them private offices in their own team suites. And so it's kind of an interesting approach that they're just using their team suite as a way to keep their team, their extended team closer together.
We use it like it's open, like either like twice a week, that we just have
Mhm.
it open, you know, with our team. Just to like say, hey, at this time we were going to have it open. So I
Right.
really like this, the flexibility also. If even though you're in the office, in the avatar, you could at least go away without nobody showing it. So it's a
Yep.
cool way also to do presentations and everything. So it's a cool factor. So I'm really excited about you guys. You know, hoping it
Cool.
will be more common that I would be invited to a meeting in there instead of, instead of going to Zoom for the 300th time or something. It's like, it's
Oh
extremely
yeah.
boring.
Yeah. Well, 301. Right here.
301.
Hey, and you invited me.
Yeah, I know. I know that. I wanted to have this as a podcast because we've been talking so much about stuff. We have to put the camera in.
There you
We have,
go. There you go.
we have to do that. So we have to have some final words. I prepared a lot for this Zoom meeting, a phone call, and I haven't almost talked about anything of it. But tell me. Sorry, I have to. I'm going to the. Do we have any? I want to ask you because you went as a 2000. Everything went to hell in 2000. You were there with the company, and 2009 when everything collapsed there, and now we have the COVID. Do you see a lot of similarities in what is happening with businesses and stuff like that that will benefit you and VirBELA into, going forward now? Is it like same thing happening again, or is it like a totally new?
For us, it's very deja vu for us. So as an organization, seeing what's happening, like for us, we didn't really change the way we did business because of COVID. Like some of our agents did in the field, like they have a harder time showing properties. They had a harder time taking listings, and they figured out how to solve for that. So they've now got, we've now got plenty of listings. We got plenty of contracts coming in. But we as an organization, corporately, we didn't change at all. We were fully available. Everybody's already working remote. Everybody's working from home. What I think is going to be interesting is to see how companies adapt going forward. I think most companies believe, even though they're suggesting they're looking at remote work, but I think most companies still believe that in order to get work done, they have to do it in a physical office. And so I think we're going to see probably 60–70% of companies go back to the way they used to work. And you'll have 20–30%, 40% maybe that end up going fully remote. And I'm talking about the ones that can. So, 60–70% that can will stay physically oriented. 30% or so will go fully remote. The difference will be when we look back in 5 years from now, back at where we're at now, I truly believe that the companies, the 30%, are going to kick the butts of the companies that went back to bricks and mortar. And there's a lot, like for us, like the ability to scale is so much easier running 100% remote than a company that has to go and sign another lease, go and put in, all the desks, put in all the tenant improvements, the phone systems, the copiers, all that stuff, just to be able to then have people come to work.
Parking lot and blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah.
it probably must help your agent that are dealing with this for the first time to be able to look at a company that you're working with that is just ready for this transition. And like old people like yourself who have done it twice before. So I'm talking about something like, so it must be brilliant to still be able to focus on the work instead of shit. I have to renegotiate with the landlord, and stuff like that. It's just like, same thing happened with us. We don't have all that stuff. It's just like you still focus on work. It's just like if there's less work, you can still focus on improving what you're doing instead of dealing with these boring things like landlords or whatever you.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, for us, technology is so easy. We need a computer at home. We need some sort of high-speed internet, and then we have to be able to connect it to something that we call it a sense of place or a tool so we can do our work like CrankWheel. But outside of that, life's actually pretty easy.
Yeah, we've been so far into this recording that nobody will actually listen to it at this moment. So yeah, life is pretty easy now for us.
There you go.
If somebody is still watching, you can tell us that you're actually listening to it now. So, but it's been brilliant. I don't think I have any questions. Do you have any? One more question. Can you name drop some of the companies that are actually using VirBELA today before?
Yeah, a couple of them for sure. We're under NDA with a bunch, but Stanford University uses it. Davenport University uses it. Deloitte in the UK is doing some stuff with us.
CrankWheel.
CrankWheel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, CrankWheel. There's this company. I didn't know if the NDA stood, at the moment.
Not now. Sorry.
Now,
like usual, I talk too much. There
you go. No, but yeah, you guys have been. You got your own private team suite, so it's great to see you guys on campus.
Yeah.
And if you go into the VirBELA Open Campus, you can actually go and if you go to search for users, you'll see literally the names of companies on there that's using it. We've got all kinds of well-known companies that use the platform, and if you're in the platform, you can just see who they are.
Can you choose, of course, if you're going to be listed there or not? If it's going to be private, or can you?
Not off of that portion because that's the open campus with the team suite. But if you have your own private campus, obviously we don't talk about those customers at all.
Okay. Exciting times ahead, Glenn. This is
good stuff.
This was more relaxing than I hoped. I was like, after I started researching for you, I was a little bit nervous for this meeting, but this has been, like I told you in the email, this has been legendary. So if somebody is listening now at the end, please email me and Glenn and tell us how it was.
There you go. Yeah, and definitely grab the. I'm sure you're going to have an affiliate link if you don't already have one, but grab the affiliate link from Gilsi. Jump in the open campus; it's free, and if you end up becoming a customer of VirBELA, CrankWheel is also a partner of ours.
I recommend VirBELA to do something fun.
Cool, good stuff.
Thank you, Glenn. Have a fantastic day.
Okay, you too. Chat soon.
Okay, bye-bye.